part of Kenya, we have our own citizens, millions of young people who do not have a job. We have 5 million Kenyans across Kenya, young people out of school, out of college, out of universities who do not have a job. It is our collective responsibility to think about the 5 million young people in Kenya who today walk our streets, walk our villages, in our townships, in our markets, and yet they do not have an opportunity to deploy their energy, their knowledge, their education in making a difference in their lives and making a difference in our nation. And I want to encourage all of us as the people of Kenya, as we look into this opportunity. I know many people are asking, how is it my business? How is it my responsibility? I have had many ask me, Mr. President, how is it my responsibility to think about those who do not have jobs? How is it my responsibility to think about the people who live in slums? 7 million Kenyans who live in slums, in indignity, without toilet, without running water, without roads. How is it my business? Let me ask the people of Kenya, if our freedom fighters, the people who made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in liberating our nation, if they had asked the question that how is it their business, today we would continue to have been slaves of our masters if they ask themselves that question. It is our opportunity, as they did, to liberate our country. They went beyond the call of duty. They did not ask how is it their business to make the ultimate sacrifice to liberate our country. I want to ask every citizen, it is our responsibility collectively to think, to plan, and to ensure that the 5 million young people in our country who today do not have jobs, have jobs. It is our responsibility to ensure the people, 7 million of them, who live in our slums, including Shauri Yako here in Embu. I was here last week and I was informed about Shauri Yako. The people who live in Shauri Yako deserve a decent house, and it is our responsibility as we implement the housing plan, not just to create jobs, at least 1 million jobs every year. It is also our responsibility to grow our manufacturing, because housing will make sure that our entire manufacturing value chain, from the cement in our factories, to the steel in our factories, to the doors and windows and hinges in our Juakali sector and our construction products industry, to the sand harvesters, to all the people who will be working in our construction sites, to the accountants and engineers and all the architects and all the technicians and the electricians, to every sector, the millions of young people that will be employed in this sector, is sacrifice enough for us who are employed to make that contribution to the Hustler Fund, to the Housing Fund, so that we can bring around the change that is going to take our country forward. Our vision for affordable housing program is premised, firstly, on the objective of creating 1 million direct and indirect employment opportunities throughout every value chain in the housing development ecosystem. A single housing unit is capable of employing 3 to 5 workers directly and an additional 8 workers indirectly in the manufacturing of construction products, in transport, in logistics, and in all other sectors that contribute to the housing and construction industry. Secondly, objective of affordable housing is to increase the number of homeowners and to transition more Kenyans from rent-paying in informal settlements, in slums, and we have 1,411 slums in Kenya. We should transition those people, my countrymen and women, into homeowners. They should live in dignity like the rest of us, because we owe them a duty of citizenship and a duty of comradeship as we live in one country. I want to ask every parent, I want to ask every Kenyan that rather than ask, how is it your business? We must know that it is our business, because the 5 million young people are our children. They are our citizens. They pay taxes. And when we transition them into jobs, we are building a bigger pool of taxpayers. The conversation we have today in Kenya is different. I did promise the country 3 years ago that we are going to change the conversation. That the conversation is not going to be anymore about leaders. It is going to be about citizens. It is going to be about those who do not have jobs. It is going to be about our manufacturing. It is going to be about the millions who live in informal settlements. It is going to be about the people. I told the country that we are going to change the conversation. It is not going to be about changing the constitution and creating positions for leaders. It is going to be about changing the economy and creating opportunities for millions of young people, including the many who are today in our streets and villages, the millions of young people who are looking up to us to provide them with opportunities to work. It's going to be about the ordinary people who work in the manufacturing sector, the people who also wants to contribute, to be taxpayers, but because they have no jobs, they cannot pay tax. I promise the country that it is not going to be about sharing power. It is going to be not about sharing power by the elite and by leaders. It is going to be about empowerment of every citizen, empowering our farmers to produce more so that we can get ourselves into food security, empowering our young people with jobs so that they too can contribute meaningfully to our economy and meaningfully to our taxpayers. It calls for us the empowerment of every citizen and every business person so that we can contribute to the economy of our country. I want to promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that that effort is on course, and together we are going to move in that direction. To enhance our national productivity, we are prioritizing the consolidation, processing, and value addition of our agricultural products. You just heard my dear sister, Governor of Embu, say, right here in Mashanga, we are going to build an aggregation and industrial park so that the people of Embu, and as we do it in Embu, we are doing it in every county in the Republic of Kenya. Last week, we advertised the first 14 agricultural aggregation and industrial park that will be built in every county so that we can consolidate our agricultural produce. We can provide for value addition. We can provide for agro-processing. We can enhance our manufacturing, create jobs, create value, and enhance the earnings of every farmer as we get rid of brokers, as we get rid of cartels, and ensure that we protect the hard-earned and the sweat of farmers in the Republic of Kenya. Additionally, the government of Kenya will step up the establishment of 5 additional export processing zones in the coming year in Sagana, in Thika, in Joro, in Eldoret, and in Busia to complement the one in Athi River, the one in Dongokundu, and the one in Naivasha, because we believe that additional processing capacity, focusing on our exports that have come down in the last 10 years from 28% of our GDP to just around 10% of our GDP, that we need new impetus, we need new thinking, we need new infrastructure to be able to drive our exports. And that is why we are expanding our processing capacity in our export processing zones, in our special economic zones, and at the same time, we remain firmly committed to the Continental Free Trade Area and the effective implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Just this week, we concluded a working retreat for trade ministers of the Continental Free Trade Area with the private sector. I am glad to welcome to this gathering the delegation that has been holding Africa private sector discussions in Nairobi, led by my brother, the President of Comoros, His Excellency Azali Assoumani, and one of the most foremost champions of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It is also gratifying to note that the champion, the former president of Niger, is right in our midst. It's also gratifying to note that 11 trade ministers are here today from different countries in our continent. I wish to recognize the following delegations led by the ACFTA Secretariat. Delegation from Comoro, are they here? Wasimame? The delegation from Comoro, thank you very much. The delegation from Niger, thank you very much. Delegation from Central African Republic, the delegation from Chad, thank you very much, they're there. The delegation from Namibia, the delegation from Djibouti, the delegation from Cote d'Ivoire, the delegation from Nigeria, the delegation from Botswana, the delegation from Ghana, and the delegation from Burkina Faso. A significant portion of household budgets, as we all know, goes to food, a major component of the cost of living. Understandably, there has been animated engagement on this subject after a prolonged drought which pushed the entire Horn of Africa region to the brink of famine. Widespread shortages of staple foods have driven food prices beyond the ability of many households to afford them. Enhancing food production is an intervention with multiple fundamental implications. It promotes access to affordable and adequate food and nutrition for the majority. It also increases food supply, lowers prices, and thus reduces the cost of living. Moreover, subsidizing food production increases